Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. So we're going to be doing the first 2 vs 2 on the channel here today. I do have a few 2 vs 2 reps. As you guys probably know, I'm not really a 2 vs 2 player. Of course, I've played 2 vs 2s in my life, but I am definitely not an active player, not an active watcher either. But my good friend TT1 is. So he's actually filled me in a lot on what 2 vs 2, what the scene is like within Brood War, because again, I don't really follow it at all. So real quick, let me just introduce TT1 and Scan are going to be teams here in the blue, and we're going to have Dandy and LoCcxito in the red. So Dandy is the top South American player, and just a very, very strong player. One of the best non-Korean players that there is. Of course, you know, Scan, the ASL player, my buddy. TT1, one of the best macro Protosses in the scene. LoCcxito is just a 2 vs 2 player. I'm sure he plays some 1 vs 1, but I definitely know that he plays a lot of 2 vs 2. And of course, we see a little proxy pylon going down from TT1 here on Luna. We're on the map Luna, a very old map. Okay, so a few things about the 2 vs 2 scene before this action kicks off, which should be pretty quickly. So first off, 2 vs 2 is pretty big in Korea, and it's really big in China, but specifically on BGH, and I do have a game for BGH that we'll be looking at on a different day. But yeah, so the scene is pretty big. As far as who are the good players in it, it turns out Scan is actually the best 2 vs 2 player, and the other 2 people that would be top 3 would be Bishop and Speed. So 3 ASL level Terran players are the absolute best as far as 2 vs 2 goes. And apparently there's a lot of money in the Chinese BGH scene. So people like Scan and Bishop, who don't make as much money off their stream, will oftentimes play show matches there. Now you might ask me, well, what about like Flash or something? Well, Flash doesn't really play 2 vs 2, but if he did, yeah, he'd probably become one of the best at it. But for people who are actually active in 2 vs 2 and actually compete in it regularly, Scan is the best with Bishop and Speed. Okay, and as far as race combos go, apparently Protoss is considered the weakest. Zerg Random is considered the strongest. Here we see that Scan here has gone Zerg, TT1 has gone Protoss, and then of course TT1 has proxied these gateways inside of Dandy's base. LoCcxito over here with Zerg also just going for very quick Zerglings with a creep colony on the way. So this proxy rush, not doing that much. There's not a lot left at TT1's base either. I think Scan is going up to kind of protect him because LoCcxito is going for that little counterattack. Now, the SCVs and Marine going after this, there is going to be another Zealot that's going to be able to pop out, so that is going to be a little bit problematic. Definitely has taken some damage here. You know, that offensive wall in as well being very annoying. And he keeps that Marine alive. Very, very important indeed. Lings go up the ramp, but it seems like Scan has enough here that he should be able to save him. Probe comes down, not sure exactly for what. Another Zealot gets out, and in fact some Lings hitting the front. So putting a little bit of extra pressure here as Scan attacks that wall, and in fact there is a way in. So that's annoying as well. Oh my god, there's going to be even another Zealot actually coming out here in a second. So Dandy definitely in some trouble. Right now, both Zerg players very, very low as far as drone counts go at 8 each, 15 to 14 workers for Terran and Protoss, respectively. And a second hatchery. Looks like we have for Scan here the layer going up right now. Lots of pressure was going on to TT1 since his gateways were made outside of his base, and it looks like he is trying to get into cannons while he continues to increment out these Zealots and look for that additional damage. Excuse me. So, a lot of speedlings in the center of the map. You know, obviously mutas are going to be extremely strong, and it is going to be much quicker mutas here for Scan, so that definitely could play a big difference in here. But don't forget, with the double hatchery now, LoCcxito is going to be able to make a lot of Zerglings. And if you know anything about ZVZ, you know that that's going to be really problematic to try to hold on against mass Zergling here. Especially considering Scan doesn't really have anything, right? Like Scan, yeah, I mean, he's okay on probes. He's making a cannon, so he should be able to stay alive, technically. But he can't really go out on the map and help Scan at all. Whereas LoCcxito, yeah, he might be all right. Oh, look at this. TT1 throwing down a pylon. He might actually go for defensive cannons here for Scan, which is fascinating. Like, I mean, I've definitely done this in fun, like, team games on BGH and stuff, but I didn't realize that strong 2 versus 2 players would do something like this. Kind of cool to see. Scan coming home with his Zerglings. Looking up here, Dandy has finally cleared out the entirety of the proxies, going for a second gate, just now getting gas as well. LoCcxito down here getting an evolution chamber. They know that the Spire is going to be finishing here for Scan, and it seems like Scan should be able to take control of the game just based off of his Mutalisks alone. All right, a lot of Lings running up towards Dandy's base. Like, again, this, I believe that's a hole, right? We saw him run through there before. I don't know if he wants to do that. He's thinking about it. Dandy would probably just barely win that battle. In the meantime, LoCcxito gonna come in with his Zerglings. TT1 glitching out his probes as hard as he can to try to get this cannon to do a lot of work. Has a Zealot as well, so that's definitely very, very helpful. A second cannon coming out. Scan right now coming up with the rest of his Zerglings. Few cannons, and look at this. Even throwing down his Cybernetic core, I actually love this. This makes so much sense to me. That fits perfectly into my brain that he would put his core here because he's so tight here. He doesn't want to waste any room on buildings. Now, where are the mutas? It looks like the Spire is done. A single muta out. Some more mutas going to be on the way. Spores are up at LoCcxito's base. Missile turret here for Dandy, who's continuing to pump out those Marines. +1 on the way. Stim on the way. Very slow to get out on the map, that's for sure. LoCcxito going to go ahead and actually kill off a Zealot, as well as a bunch of those Lings. Like, TT1's starting to add a little bit more into this map. The Muta's coming up to help clear this out as well. The Muta's definitely starting to gain some of that value that you would expect. Third Spore coming up for LoCcxito. And without TT1 being able to really come on the map and give too much pressure, seems like LoCcxito is like very, very safe right now, but doesn't have a lot going on. Oh, got to turn that around. Looking up at Dandy's base, it seems to me like Dandy is going to scale the best by far, but with a Robo coming up. Wait, there is a Robo coming up. There it is. I saw it in the production tab. Robo coming up here for TT1. He obviously is going to go into Reaver. And Reaver is going to be a huge counter to the Marine Medic. You know, I always say this when I'm casting 1 versus 1 games about how, you know, the reason why we don't have bio ever against Protoss is not the High Templar. Those are actually something that you can kind of deal with. It's the Reaver. Reavers just absolutely destroy bio. So that is going to be a problem for Dandy. But as of right at this second, like, he's got by far the strongest stuff going on. The Marine Medic with Stim going to be able to crush. Range is on the way. +1 is on the way, so he is going to be in very good shape. Now, the Mutas of Scan coming over, harassing LoCcxito at least a little bit. Looking back at Scan's base. Yeah, TT1 getting shuttle speed as well as Reaver tech. Just trying to hold this ramp at the moment. But yeah, with this bio coming in, this is going to be a real problem for TT1. He's got 3 cannons, but they're not placed that well. So as range finishes, like, I think Dandy just kills everything here. TT1, like, here's the thing. You can still help your teammate, perhaps. Like, maybe he can still get a little bit done with the Reaver that he's making over across the map. But yeah, it looks like the Mutas of Scan come up to help. So actually, I guess I called that too quickly. Scan very quick to get up here and help eliminate this army with those Mutalisks. Does an absolutely fantastic job. Clears everything out super well. And TT1 lives. So looking at the actual stats over here, look at this. 11 drones against 10, 28 SCVs against 26 probes. Very close game. 5 racks Marine Medic with +1 almost done for Dandy on 1 base. Absolutely insane. And this is where I think the Reaver play is going to make a big change to this game. Because if you're playing with Marine Medic Zergling against Reavers, there's just no counter there. So where is that shuttle? It's somewhere. He's got the shuttle. Oh, there it is. Okay. So there's the Reaver. Now, a Reaver and 2 goons. Like, I guess that this can draw in the Bioforce. Like, you know, you can technically kill a Reaver with, like, some Marine Medic. It's just very hard. You're going to be very inefficient, and over time, the Reaver's going to kill everything. And in fact, if, you know, 1 Scarab hits well, you'll just lose your army. So, yeah, going to be a little bit difficult, but right now, definitely TT1 having a lot of value. You can see the Mutas of Scan trying to slow this incoming army. A couple more creep colonies on the way. Mutas come up to join Going after, well, this Spore, I feel like he should be a little bit careful about wasting all of his Scarabs because they do take time to build. And he definitely needs them against the incoming Bile Forces. Okay, gets one decent Scarab so far. Kills 2 Marines, damages the medics a lot. Creeping down that ramp, looking for some more damage. Scan just keeping those Mutas active and ready. Couple Lings coming in for that flank. Drops the Reaver out. Ooh. Looks like Dandy might be able to push everything back. The Reaver very low on health right now. Just 19 health remaining. Some shields coming back, though. Looking out in the middle, looks like Dandy has a lot more Marines coming across the map as well. All right, the Dragoon gets surrounded. Wow. Just absolutely slaughtering with that Reaver. I think you can really tell what I've been talking about with the Reaver against Marine Medic. TT1 got so much done. I actually want to check the kills on this pretty soon. Some more Marines coming down to help LoCcxito, but Scan going to be able to clear those as well. He did end up getting +1 attack, so definitely very helpful. Where did he bring the shuttle? Here it is. Okay. Try to keep an eye on that in case he unloads. We can check the ridiculous kill count that it must indeed have. Now, Command Center coming up for Dandy, just continuing to field out Marines and Medics. No, not so lucky. Ooh, Burrowed Lings. That's kind of funny. Okay, on the very limited economy. LoCcxito here, still just on Zergling tech, which is definitely a problem. TT1's starting to field quite a few Dragoons. No expansion on either side yet. You know, if this was 1 versus 1, everyone would be in a terrible spot. So 15 kills on that one, 0 on the new one. 15 kills on the Reaver, just being an absolute beast this game. All right, going forward here, TT1 trying to trap all the Marines and Medics that are going up into his base. A few Lings coming up. Scan doing a good job of clearing those out. Ooh, Dandy almost catching the shuttle. If he had gotten that shuttle, definitely could have changed the course of this game. But as of right now, definitely does look pretty good for TT1 and Scan in my kind of newbie 2 versus 2 opinion. But I think it's not too hard to call that. Dandy's doing a good job with the Marines and Medics for sure. He's like dodging out on those Reavers really well. You know, the reason why this is kind of all working together, I'm realizing as I watch this, is because the economies are so low. Because the economies are so low, it has so much more to do with quality of micro and unit movement than it does with just like what counters what, which is making this really, really interesting. You just never see something that looked like this in the 1 versus 1. So looks like the Reaver's going to come out. TT1 going to end up clearing the rest of this with a little bit of help from Scan. A lot of Lings in the center of the map. LoCcxito once again trying the bro tactic, but an Overlord is out here as well. So looking pretty tough for him. Now, Dandy is teching up a little bit, and he is getting his expansion. He's going to be the first player with an expansion up in this game. He's got a huge amount of bio, but of course the Reaver's still going to be a big problem. Reavers actually don't drop out here, so a little mistake there, I think, from TT1, because Scan pulled the trigger. Obviously, the Scarabs do unfriendly splash, by the way, in case anyone didn't know that. Maybe it's not that obvious, but they will kill your teammates' Zerglings if those are in the blast radius, so you have to be careful about that. Now, the Reaver going to be microed much more heavily now, drops this one out. He did lose the initial one, which had, I think, 20-plus kills there by the end. Going to continue to push in. Dandy having a very hard time right now. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, wow. Going around the comm set, he actually glitched out that Scarab. That was actually an awesome move. I think he actually meant to do that. Dandy is really good. Now, the Reaver is doing insane, insane work here. The Marines try to come in. The Mutalisk swarm is getting a lot lower. And in fact, the flanking Zerglings here doing a pretty good job of taking some damage away from these Marines. So LoCcxito continues to send Lings out. He has a layer. He has his Spire on the way. So maybe we'll finally get some Mutalisks out there to help. Dandy just barely holding on at the moment. But Scan and TT1 continue to push forward. It feels like they're very close to breaking Dandy. LoCcxito just doesn't have his Spire up yet. Maybe if he had a small group of Mutas over here, it would make the difference. But yeah, getting in here and erasing this Reaver is incredibly hard. So a good spread, almost gets it, but TT1 gets that pickup. Look at that, 9 health left on it. And it seems to me like this game is not looking good for Dandy and LoCcxito. Not a huge, huge surprise. I think Dandy definitely pulled his weight. I don't know that much about 2 vs 2, but I know LoCcxito is good. GG is called. And it looks like Scan and TT1 are going to win. I guess you can keep playing, but I don't know why LoCcxito's still here. Because, yeah, okay, he's going to go ahead and GG. All right. That was the first 2 vs 2 game that we've casted here on our ArtosisCasts after thousands of games. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed it. There are going to be a couple more coming up, whether you enjoyed it or not. I do suggest to just check them out and see if you like them. I have, by the way, just a couple things. I have no plans to make this like a completely regular, like a 2 vs 2 every week or something, unless it's insanely popular. But maybe occasionally mixing it in could be a fun thing to do. So I guess we'll just see what your guys' feedback is on it. I actually really enjoy this, watching StarCraft in a completely different way. Definitely very pleasurable. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.